The best gacha game I quit after a month. Now we gotta see what's up. Because my opinion, ZZZ is one of the best gacha games at all time in my opinion. But let's see what's up.
Gacha games with console level quality I've played. When I'm not busy calculating the output volume of breast milk or looking up unsavory ships of Wise and Bell,
What?
I'm sitting back enjoying the high quality animations and flashy gameplay. The majority of gacha games I've been playing this past year or so have all been fairly small titles that don't have the budget to create a detailed 3D open world, but I find it to be a reprieve to visit what the definition of an industry giant looks like. Coming from a company that arguably put gacha games on the mainstream radar, it's no surprise that Z3 was one of the most enjoyable gacha experiences I've had, where I quit after a month. Hi, my name.
The first we may be doing, it's not locked in yet, but we may be doing a long string that I'm going to regret.
My name is Psyche, and this video will double as a review of sorts, as well as a discussion on how I think gacha games should be enjoyed. I don't think it's far-reaching to say that MiHoYo has set the standard when it comes to monetization and player retention techniques in modern gacha games. Despite this, many—
Well, now that standard is changing, which I love so much, like at least for the monetization part, because now they're starting to go, you get your character automatically for free, but then after that, it's a 50-50, which I hope sticks, I hope stays, and I hope literally every gacha game uses.
Many players tend to attribute someone quitting a game,
even Hoyo, I hope they can change it. They can change code. It ain't that hard. They can change the code. I hope they do.
To be a negative thing. But hopefully today, I can show you that quitting is not always bad. Let's first bring up the matter of monetization.
Actually, that's true. I did that with Genshin.
MiHoYo has more or less set the groundwork for gacha rates and cash shop deals. While $200 to $300 to guarantee a 5-star character will make anyone think twice, to be honest, I don't really have a problem with whaling or spending money on gacha games as you please, as long as you're aware of where it's going and how much of it is being spent. I'm personally someone that likes to moderate my spending and only spend what I think will bring me more enjoyment of a game. So if you do ever decide to spend money,
like Playz, donate, please. No,
I have something to pique your interest. Before I get deeper into the video, I do want to give a quick shout out to today's sponsor, LD Shop. LD Shop is a formal top-up platform for all your favorite mobile games, including Zenless Zone Zero. You can find discounted deals for most of the offers in—
Let's see, what's these discounts? 90 cents off? Okay, 29 cents off. All right, we just want to skip this though.
I suppose we can go over what the best of Zenless Zone Zero has to offer first. The primary reason—
Bro, their story is peak, okay? In my opinion, it's peak.
I decided to return to it is that I heard a lot of good things with how the overall quality of the game is handled, how the story is super digestible, and how the grind is eased down compared to the other MiHoYo titles. And, you know, I'm gonna be,
oh my gosh, I'm gonna be honest, like, to be fairly real about it, like, I think ZZ has the best story out of all of them, because they just get straight to the point. And it's like, I don't know why, but the writers in the other two games just want to make 18-hour-long films, and I'm like, bro, go get into actual filmmaking if you want to make a film, bro. Like don't bring this to the gacha game.
Admit I was tempted by some of the character designs. Wink, wink. So I logged into my HoYoverse account, remembered that I actually did play the game at launch, and realized that I pulled Ellen from the very first raid-up banner. Well, capitalize on the first anniversary and get that free standard 5-star, and I thought, I guess I can build a starter team with Ellen. So naturally, I went to work building this mono freeze team and see how long it would take me before the build is truly completed. Even so, it's a classic MiHoYo gimmick to progression lock the higher ascensions and upgrade materials behind both player level and story completion. So it looks like I was gonna get through the story no matter what anyways. I certainly wouldn't describe the story as anything too unique, but as some had pointed out, it feels very digestible, with all these animated dialogues, comic panels, and the most noteworthy, the cutscenes. Wow, I'm actually speechless. For the past couple months, after playing a lot of lower budget gacha games, which mostly had a visual novel style of storytelling, experiencing what MiHoYo is able to come up with is astounding to see. It's a vast contrast from the static—
That's why I ain't gonna lie. That's why I love it so much, because I like when it actually shows instead of like just tells, right? But when it comes to most games, they just give you a wall of text, tell you to read it, and then be like, oh, they figure out the story. But I mean, oh my gosh, like the story's so good, but like we ain't gonna do anything. Like back in the day, they didn't even really voice act for real. But now it gets bad. It got
Dramatic 2D sprites to see hyper-expressive, exaggerated, and almost cartoonish cutscenes is something I can't pull my eyes away from.
I don't know how they did
Even
it.
a simple exchange between Wise and Bell is just a joy to watch. I don't care what anyone says, this level of animation right here is top-notch. During the main story, you get to try out all the cool diverse agents and their gameplay, so there's no need to invest in a team yourself. When exploring the city, there's all sorts of hidden cool details about the ways your playable character moves and interacts, such as the attention to detail and sound, like the clinking on Billy's chains, the clacking of boots on a hard surface, or the swishing of stockings when brushing against one another. For some reason. Someone at MiHoYo thought this was a crucial detail to include, so why not?
This is why this is basically the turn-based Gooner game of Nikke. If Nikke like actually decided to make a game like this, I think it would be this. It's Gooner Lagoon. Yep, Gooner Lagoon. We all goon. We all goon. If you play ZZZ, you're a gooner too.
I knew I didn't have to stray far from Goon Lagoon, because the fan service in Z3 is impeccable.
Crazy.
I probably don't need to include all the ways the game lures you in with all the gooning elements, though it's interesting to see that when the game launched, you didn't
Gooner ZZ this game is crazy. That's why I like about ZZ. You're allowed to test out the characters before facts. Every game do that though.
really get the impression that it was going down this route.
Better.
Okay, well, what are we adding next? Cock physics? Gameplay feels extremely smooth and satisfying. The enemy tells are telegraphed, the swapping mechanic feels engaging, and it always feels badass pulling off counters repeatedly. Of course, I was surprised to find that there's actually a limit on how many times you can counter in a row, and certain attacks that have to be dodged instead. I didn't really get into the optimal team rotations and such, but playing through the main story campaigns and some side activities gave me a varied taste of what all the agents play like. Whether you play this for the exhilarating gameplay or the cunny, I think something everyone will see eye to eye on is that the overall quality of the game is great.
Bro, I know
also, just a side note, I learned that the names of the siblings in Japanese are Akira and Rin. Just thought that was interesting to point out. So let's move on to the live service nature of the game and explore how that's all going.
Oh, here we go.
I played the game for about a month and locked in the $5 Welkin just for the hell of it. For the record, one of the old traps I used to fall into is that I felt obligated to log in every day so I didn't waste of the daily check-ins. Now I just kinda don't care. I didn't log in all 30 days of the month, and a decent chunk of the days I did log in just included me doing the dailies. Sometimes I didn't even bother spending stamina. Something these games have always ingrained in me when I played Genshin all the way back in 2021 was that if I didn't complete every side objective, event, or weekly missions, I'd be falling behind.
Which is true. It's true. You will fall behind and you won't catch up. Like, man, I leave for 6 months section, you know, everything different. I'm like, okay. Actually, it's more like 2 months. And then everything was like, okay, all right, well, need to get a new character. Let's go.
While this seems like such an obvious trap in hindsight, I think there's a reason why these systems work to retain players. Looking at the aspects that I needed to upgrade for an agent to reach their max potential, of course you'll have the Ascensions and the W engines as they're called in this game as weapons. The passive abilities and the skills that use different currencies, and I knew those 6 empty spots would be filled with something. Sure enough, that's where the discs or the RNG relics come in. A general sentiment is that Z3 has the...
I will give one thing the MiHoYo. Over the years, they have really worked on they gear grind thing. It's like Genshin. Well, I mean, they don't really fix it out of the game, but like whatever. Like in Genshin, horrible. I ain't gonna lie. I hate it. I hate it so much. And Honkai is like, alright, it's pretty decent. It's alright. And here in ZZ, I think I like it a lot. I'll be honest, I like it a lot. Like you literally just go and get the gear that you want, as long as you got the currency or whatever. And then you could like pick the main stat, and then you just gotta get lucky with the substats, and that's it.
The tamest relic system out of all of the big 3 MiHoYo games. Though even then, it's something that a lot of gachas don't have to deal with to this extent. I thought, what the hell, let's try building this team to see what I need to have a viable comp. I was going to get an energy regen piece on Sokaku, except when it was time to start sorting out my discs, I realized that I didn't have a single one with that main stat. It was the only main stat that I didn't even have one of. So I thought maybe I did something wrong. I then proceeded to spend 1000 reserve stamina to farm for any energy regen main stat disc. But then, still nothing. Then I looked up the internal drop rates of the stats and realized that
low
it's
as
because
hell.
the game is working exactly as intended. For a little bit of clarification, how the RNG relics work in all of the modern MiHoYo games is that there's a hidden chance for a certain main stat to drop if that slot has multiple possibilities.
And that chance hates me, bro. Oh my god.
And it's rigged so that the most helpful ones by default are the ones that have the lowest drop chance. In this case, energy regen gets the special treatment, dropping at just below a 10% chance. Obviously, for any long-term gacha players, I think everyone innately understands that character builds are not meant to be completed in a single day. So building even
But I do it. You can do it too.
one character is a long-term commitment. Still, you tend to see some other gachas opting for a more tame RNG relic system, and a few out there that just don't have any at all. I'm gonna take a wild guess that MiHoYo's next gacha game will have the tamest RNG relics yet, as there does seem to be some pushback against this kind of system. I doubt anyone wants to constantly grind for the chance of a useful relic. The disc is not the only place to grind for character builds, as there's also the boss drops and weekly special boss drops. Z3 does
These, I think they just need to make it where like you could just grind it out, bro. Like you could just grind it out. Like you can go as many times as you want. Cause oh my gosh, waiting a week for this to reset just so you can get 3 is crazy to me. Like bro, like at least make it that if you do the hardest difficulty, you get double, you get 2. It's 2 for 6, which is probably gonna be enough to at least like core one character almost still. So
also let you configure a farming plan, letting you spend 100 stamina at once on whatever drop you want. But this does not get extended to the boss drops nor the discs. So back to endgame artifact jail I go. In all fairness, Z3's dailies are some of the easiest I've seen in a gacha game to complete.
Like legitly, you just walk around, do 3 click eat things, and you're done, bro. It's like talk to this, talk to them, done.
And you can visit the coffee robot for a bit extra stamina every day. There's also the scratch cards that give the occasional gacha tokens, and the ramen guy that gives out temporary buffs. But nobody cares about the ramen guy. Still, doing less chores doesn't mean that there aren't any chores. There's still Shiyu defense that rotates on a schedule.
Okay, guys, if you buff, you're weak, okay? Never forget that. You're weak if you use buffs in the game, okay? When it comes to that ramen dude, okay? You just weak. No, I'm just joking.
A roguelike mode to accumulate weekly points and rewards, and all those red exclamation marks to warn you of unclaimed rewards or limited time events. These systems are hard baked into any gacha game, and being one of the pioneers of modern gacha design, MiHoYo lays everything out pretty blatantly. I personally have a lot of problems when people compare a gacha game to a console game. I think it's fair to say that the animations are
Wait, who is comparing a gacha game to a console game? Who the Bro, obviously these young guys, like, you see how much money they spend on console games versus a gacha game? That's a way two different things.
Console level quality, except that there are some stark contrasts between the design philosophy of games such as Z3 to something like God of War or Devil May Cry. A gacha game will forever be a gacha game. You'll sometimes hear people say something along the lines of, "This game is so good it could pass off as a console game. It's a video game first, gacha game second." Wow.
Okay.
Allow me to show you what that argument actually means. So I did. I played Zenless Zone Zero as a console game. In a typical console or single-player video game, you pay an upfront fee to get the game, then you can play it whenever and however you want. The campaign has a defined beginning, middle, and end. But here's the crucial bit. When you finish the game, you're done and are free to move on to other games. It doesn't need to drag on and try to retain you for the long term. There are many other
because they already got your money. They don't care. Like, the reason why Fortnite wants you to come back every season.
Creative fun games out there. Enjoy variety. In any case, you have total control over your game and can play it however you like. More importantly, quitting or stopping to play said game isn't even a bad thing. You just completed the full experience, so now it's time to enjoy another. So during my month of playtime, I set a goal for myself. A win condition. A condition that if I reach it, that's where I will get a lot of closure on my adventures.
I see that makes sense that he did that, because like you can never win in a gacha game. You can never beat a gacha game. The only time you beat a gacha game is when it goes in the service and they done making the story. But even then, they could just make more, like what happened to Honkai Impact 3rd. So, like,
in Eridu City, and move on to other games. I stopped caring about doing dailies and spending stamina. I didn't pay attention to any upcoming banners or events. Just ignore all those red exclamation marks. My goal became very simple. For the next couple weeks, I log in whenever I feel like it, enjoy the high quality animations and voice work in the main story, do some side content if I have time, and when I complete all of Season 1 story content, that's what I consider my win condition. Suddenly, I don't need to care about the shitty RNG disc system. I don't need to feel pressured about limited time events or banners. I don't need to worry about losing 50-50 coin flips or
Haunts me still to this day.
grinding to level up my agents. I can simply take my time doing a few missions a day, maybe dabble in the archived events section,
Bro, this screen is crazy. I don't know how they get away with some of this stuff, bro.
or invite out characters to increase bond. If you look at its roots, I think we all need a reminder on why Genshin Impact was such a landmark achievement in mobile gaming history. You could make a compelling argument that the game is not your usual typical mobile game slop. Yes, there's battle pass.
Like during the time it came out, it really wasn't. Like it was like there's a reason why back then people compared that to like a console game as well. Because it kind of was, to be honest. Like that joint was like it's not like, oh, you go into this dungeon, you fight, and then you get out of the dungeon. It was you run around this whole world, just kind of like, oh my gosh, open world, just like a GTA game or a God of War game or a Breath of the Wild game. And it's like you just play, you just go, you fight monsters, you run around, you do the story, and then then that's when the gacha part comes in, where you do the dailies, you do the you spend the money. They didn't really care about money back then, but then the game started making billions, and they
limited time events and timed rewards.
Sometimes
Except
I miss the days.
you technically didn't have to spend a dime.
I'm gonna be honest, first year Genshin is always peak to me. Like that's peak gacha game for me. Though.
The gameplay is actually engaging, and you can go at your own pace in exploring the world and going through the story.
I gotta go back.
Just like any other genre of games, gacha games can be enjoyed in your own way. I don't know about you, but I find that the most fun I can have in any video game is when I can play it on my own terms.
If you don't know this story, I feel so sad. Peak story, by the way.
This obviously doesn't just apply to Z3, but I'd argue that MiHoYo was the one that pioneered and kickstarted a lot of the modern gacha practices we see today, so I might as well use them as an example. Suddenly, you do get to see what the best of the game has to offer, and leave out the most tedious and monotonous portions. I think people tend to equate quitting a gacha game as something negative, either due to the game not being good enough or a lack of motivation to continue. If you look at it a different way, I think there's a lot of value and power in quitting. It doesn't have to be framed as a negative thing. When you play on your own terms, even the most predatory practices won't phase your enjoyment of a gacha game. Again, I feel like
quitting a gacha game is literally just because you sign in every day. It's basically kind of like in quotations work, right? But like think about it, you work every day, you go there, you off 2 days. But when you go take a break for like 3 or 4 days, when you finally get the PTO in like 18 years, like it's not quitting. You guys just taking a break to refresh. I think it's a.
I don't care how much time
sometimes you gotta just get away from gacha games in general, bro.
Or money you spent. The point is that there is a way to play these games without being sunk into its live service model. Going through the archived events tab and some of the current events is when you realize that if you only play the curated content with a lot of effort put into it, a lot of the game's strongest elements shine through. When I played, there was a summer event where the new agent Yuzuha was on banner. I was originally going to pull, but then I realized that you also need to level her in a usable W engine, and then grind the living hell out of discs and passive upgrades. And then I thought, well, back to playing the archived events. And look, I know Z3 appeals extremely well to the gooners, except if I want a goon, I'll just look up the material online on certain discreet websites. And
we know what he's talking about. There we go, right there.
Won't even need to grind anything except your meat. No one can tell you how you should be having fun in a video game. I think it's fair for everyone to enjoy something in their own way.
I guess these players grind both things,
way. For the record, during the month I played, I had a fantastic time. Something I think that's much needed when deciding to move on or take a break from a live service game is the need for closure. So this is an allegory that I come up with. I spent $5 to see the show that is Z3. The show lasted for a month, and now I'm leaving the theater with a wide smile on my face. I visited the site.
Bro, that was one of the creepiest times I ever seen Bernice, bro. And it was so funny.
Of New Eridu City, got introduced to some great characters, took in the excellent world building and attention to detail, and even felt a little emotional when the game actually dropped some bits of lore. Damn, that was a good show. And now, it's time to enjoy other great video games. By eluding the experience of playing a gacha game to seeing a live show, you can kinda trick yourself into thinking that every second or dime you spent on said game was not wasted at all.
What game is this? Give me a third restart, but
if, for example, you decide to return for another round of the show in the future, you can do that. In fact, I'll probably do that the next time I want to dive deeper into Z3's main campaign. In case you haven't been around the channel for long, this is the same logic I mentioned in a previous video, and now I'm applying the same logic to my own experience. The truth is that Zenless Zone Zero is a much higher budget gacha game than the vast majority out there on the market.
Oh, yeah.
It's absolutely true that you can technically apply my logic to any video game in existence.
But
though
I'm gonna be honest, that's what I also feel like Hoyo messes up in her other games, where like I feel like they actually treat ZZ as a gacha game, and I feel like they treat their other two games as mainstream double, maybe triple A games, which, like, let's be real, they're nowhere close to that, first of all. But it's like because it's like Honkai, right? It's like Honkai, and then like the way they write the story is like you just bought a $18, you just bought a $60 game, so I'm about to sit here for 8 hours and play through the story, right? Like, no, most gacha game people attention span ain't that quick. It's the reason why they go, oh, money spend, gone, boom. Then next thing you know, they don't log in for a week.
The reason I picked Z3.
I don't know who would
Aside
do that,
from
though.
personal interest, everything from its presentation to its overall quality is a way bigger spectacle in comparison to the overall market. And if you strip away the predatory portions, it absolutely could be described as a console-level experience. There's not many gachas out there where you can argue this. I should be glad that
let's see, is there now? We got Wuwa, we got obviously the 3 MiHoYo games. That's 4. Yeah, DK wouldn't count. Outer Plane definitely wouldn't count. Epic 7 wouldn't count. Yeah, maybe. Hold on, I'm trying to think. Is there another one that can do that? I don't think there's anyone else. Like games that look like this. I mean, I think it's just maybe Arcade Infield could. NTE Never Everless definitely could be a console game. That's one. Like the games that are coming out that haven't been out, that haven't released yet, you could participate, like Project Mugen or Anissa, whatever the hell the name is now. That could be a game too as well.
MiHoYo separates story content and challenge content, because if they didn't give trial characters to complete the campaign with, I'd be forced to engage with the live service elements to level up who I had. You know, I've thought about this for a while, and only now did I realize MiHoYo was the one that started this whole trend with character dupes giving whole new passives instead of a stat upgrade from Genshin and onwards. And now a lot of games are doing exactly the same thing.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I need to re-download this game. Like, content was so great.
Interesting. I'm a firm believer that gacha and live service elements take away from what could have been a solid game. And my main criteria on which gacha game...
Because, like, the way they do it is they're evolving around a gacha. Like, it's like, now it's not, can you beat this? It's, how can we make it so that way they can almost beat it, but if they get the new character, they can beat it? How can we make it so that the new patch does, like, adds these 4 characters in to the story? Like, how can we force those characters in so that way we can get people to spend more on those characters, so they can get attached to those characters that are in the banner right now?
Games are the best are the ones that take away from the experience the least. And MiHoYo is one of the worst offenders out there. Z3 has the typical MiHoYo progression systems with level-gated progression, the now iconic 50% rate-up system, the same RNG relics, in my opinion a pretty shallow roguelike mode, and the endgame mode Shield Defense, giving favoritism to the current on-rate-up 5-star to slightly nudge you to pull. This is just the tip of the iceberg, and I can talk for hours about what I call the Genshitification of gacha games, but I like to leave off the video on a more positive note.
I'll be honest, I think the only reason ZZ haven't fully went to that what is it, Genshitification, whatever. I think the only reason they haven't went that far is because it don't make enough for MiHoYo to actually treat it as one of them. Like, if Honkai was good, Star Rail was good, and then it started making a buttload of money, and next thing you know, they went the way they went. Like, I feel like if ZZ started making in like multi 100 millions, they would do the same thing.
I suppose this video was more of a discussion rather than an actual review of the game, but hopefully I was able to present a more optimistic view on gacha games and the idea of quitting one. At the bottom of it all, I believe all gacha games are predatory in some way, but it doesn't mean that you have to play it on the game's terms. It's quite clear that despite all the flack that MiHoYo gets for their predatory and FOMO-inducing design choices, there's absolutely brilliant parts worth praising and looking into. And this was my attempt at highlighting those parts and just suggesting the idea that you don't need to click on those goddamn red exclamation marks. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video, and let me know if it has changed your perception of Z3 or gacha games in general.
Never.
If you wish to see more highly analytical content on gacha games, you know what to do. As always,
Alright, that was a good video though. I ain't gonna lie. Like, psych, like, go follow him, bro. Like, I ain't gonna lie, I'm giving that a like. I'm giving it a like. Go follow him, man. That was a really good video. I ain't gonna cap. But at the end of the day, my opinion on all of that is just that, to be honest, like if I'm gonna be honest, all gacha games want your money. That's what they want. That's what they really want. But even the ones that's like super free to play, they're super free to play for a point. It's a reason, because they still want you to spend too. If they make it super free to play, so that way you can be like, oh, I just give them money because they're already free to play enough. Or they give you so that way they can force you to keep staying logging in, because the longer you stay logged in, the more chances you have to hit that button that's called $5.99, $8.99, because you're playing the game a lot. Think about it. You do something a lot, you want to give money to it or something like that, right? Like I don't know, basketball. You watch a lot of basketball. The next thing you know, you buying tickets for it to go to the actual game. Guess what? That has a reason why they give them journeys out for free, even though they have ads in it. But anyway, other than that, that was a good video. That was a good video. But like, I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. Anyway, all right, let me make this outro real quick. I see you guys in the next one. Make sure you guys follow on everything. Like Twitch, YouTube, TikTok. I just hit my computer. And yeah, I see you guys in the next one. Peace. Really gotta fix my camera for this. I ain't gonna lie.